What up, folks? This is Harmsy, back in the soundbox, and in this video I'm going to go ahead and start building my second Kalimba. I got this piece of oak here that's bent all along the length of it that I'm going to use for some of the sides, and I got a straight piece over here that I'm going to use for the other portion of the sides. I do need to sand out a bit of a cupping that happened to it, but other than that it should be just fine to use. Now, before I get started building, I need to make a very important design decision, and that is the direction of the grain. And what you want to do is have it going in the same direction as the primary tension. And the reason for that is because I got this little piece here of poplar as a demonstration. If we take it, lay it here, end grains on these boards here, and smack it, nothing happens. If we place it so that the end grains are going this way and smack it, I bust my eardrums. But that's a pretty good demonstration of what I need to keep into account right there. So now the question is, what direction is the tension going to go? And if we go ahead and analyze this thing here, what we've got is these two pivot points and several different downward pressures that are all exert roughly the same force but varying torques. This guy here is very close to the pivot point. There's not a lot of wiggle room to go, and so it just doesn't exert much torque at all. This guy over here is very far away and can exert some very strong torque. So what that leads to is a steady increase towards the middle, which leads me to suggest that there is a bending force in this direction. So we want the grain of our second Kalimba to be horizontal. So that means it'll be this way, and the piece of metal will be this way. The second design consideration is what materials I have available. And I want to use this piece of oak as my back, obviously not the whole piece, just a small portion of it, because this is way too much wood for one instrument. And I'm going to be using these pieces of poplar for structural stuff. We can use this for corner blocks and this stuff for kerfing, if I run out of kerfing, because I do have some that I've already made. But our important thing is this piece of oak. Now it is 6 3/4 of an inch on one end, 7 inches on the other end, but that doesn't matter because my bandsaw only goes up to 6 1/8 inch. So I'm going to trim this, whatever piece I use of it, down to 6 inches across, and then take a slice of that to use as my back. So whatever I build has to fit on that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 6 inches on this guy and then start playing around with some shape ideas after I cut this guy in half. Okay, so I changed my mind. I decided to wait until after I got things planned out before cutting this. That way I could be a little bit more deliberate with my cuts. I also took this thing to the belt sander to take out a few gouges and cracks from the bending process, and in the process I put a couple new gouges into it. But now what we gotta do is cut this into the pieces I need, and take this big old piece of poplar here, cut out my corner blocks, and for these corners here that are not quite right angles, I'm gonna grind them down bit by bit until the shaping matches what I need, and then I'll cut the two end pieces out of this flat piece here. So yeah, let me go ahead and get to cutting and gluing. Okay, I've got the 4 corner blocks in place and 3 out of the 4 sides. So now what I need to do is take a straight edge and mark the corner blocks so that I know where to cut, and then go ahead and cut that and glue on the last side. And now we just gotta wait for the glue to dry. Okay, we are almost done with this part of the process. I need to trim off this bit of excess here, and then I need to level off both sides. As you can presumably see here, there's light escaping where there shouldn't be, and if we flip it around, there is also some more. And you might also be seeing there's some mold there on both flat sides, so I need to grind that off or sand it off as well. And finally, I need to put some kerfing on, and the stuff that I have that I made from dead tree branches nearby just isn't consistently flexible, so I'm going to be making some new stuff out of that thin poplar board that you've seen before. That's going to be a next video thing, because that's going to take me a little while. But let's just focus on cleaning up this outer frame here, and then we'll call this video done. Okay, through a combination of the belt sander and a tiny little hand plane, we've got it to the point where there is only a little bit of wobble on this side and even less wobble on this side. So, from here, I think what I'm going to do is clear a space on this table, tape down some sandpaper, and finish it off that way so that I don't take too much material off all at once. And as for these corners, you'll see what I'm going to do with that later. And for now, let's just worry about getting this thing flat. Okay, through a combination of the belt sander and a small hand plane, I've got these sides mostly flat. There's still a touch of wobble here, and even less wobble here. In fact, there's almost no wobble on this side, so this side is good to go. I just need to take off a little bit more off of one of these corners here to get this one finished up. I think it was this one, but I don't remember for sure. Either way, after I get that finished up, I'm going to have to clear off a space on this table and take down some sandpaper to finish off getting rid of the last little bit of wiggle, and then we'll be done for this video. Okay, the workpiece has been sanded, and on this side I've got pretty much all of the wobble out of here. There's still just a teensy tiny bit right over here that I can just feel. And on this other side, there's a little bit more wobble on this corner, but not a lot, not a lot. I should be able to finish it off by taking a few more passes on this sandpaper. But we're going to call this video to a close now because there's not much more I can do right now. In the next video, what I'm going to be doing is taking this piece of poplar, cutting into the strips about maybe that thick, and making some more kerfing of this width, and preferably more consistent in terms of depth and spacing. And of course the back will be straighter too, because this was a sloppy home cut, and this is something I picked up at the store, so it should be straighter. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video, and until next time, I've got a little bit of cleaning up to do because it is dusty. So now the question is, what direction is the tension going to go?